2026, and maybe one of your New Year's resolutions is to be a little bit more careful with your money. Or maybe you want to find your personal style, be better to the planet, or in general just love to do vintage shopping. But it's not always easy to find the perfect piece, especially if you're looking for something very specific. And because I have been a Vinted warrior for the last 5 years and I'm truly into it, I love to shop on Vinted, I thought I would give you the best tips on how to shop on secondhand sites. Hi, my name is Sophia and I'm a fashion and culture enthusiast. I'm so happy to have you here. So first of all, I think it's important to think about which platform to choose. If you want to shop on Vinted, Depop, Vestiaire, and it's definitely also different for where you live because I'm in Germany and here Vinted I think is the shopping website that you use when you want to do secondhand shopping online. Whereas in the UK I think it's definitely Depop. And then of course there are other websites like Vestiaire, which I also love, but it's definitely a different category because you'll find more luxury items on there. So if you're looking for a specific brand or you want a specific, aesthetic vibe, you will look on Vestiaire. What is special about them is that they exclude all kinds of fast fashion, for example, Zara and H&M. They do have COS and Arcade though, so they don't exclude fast fashion in that sense completely, but there is definitely a sort of selection on there. Then there's Vinted, which here you can find designer items, but also high street brands and fast fashion labels. So if there is a viral Zara jacket again this fall, I would recommend you to look on Vinted first because there are many people buying it and then reselling it. But be aware that they might sell it for a higher price than it actually is. And don't fall for that, it's not worth it for a Zara jacket. Now, if you're looking for something very specific, a specific item like the Zara jacket, I think the process is pretty straight up because you can select the brand, then you're gonna type in suede jacket, maybe even the number of the article, and then boom, you'll get it. Not many tips here because I think it's pretty straight up. The only thing that I can recommend to you is to search misspellings as well. So for example, you can search leather jacket but without the A and only the E, or cashmere and forget the H, something like that. You have to be a little bit creative, though usually Vinted will spit out everything that is close to the thing that you're searching for. It can be helpful in some cases. If you're not looking for something super specific, but rather a category, I would say, for example, a black V-neck sweater, maybe you would like it in cashmere. I do not recommend to look for the brands that you usually would go to when you would buy firsthand, for example, COS, Arcade, Massimo Dutti or something like that. Of course, there will be sweaters from those brands, but they're usually way more expensive than the alternatives that are just as good. So what I would recommend is to completely leave the brand category alone, don't touch it, but rather search for materials. And here I would also not recommend the selection button, but I would just type in cashmere sweater, for example, or silk camisole, wool trousers, wool blazer, something like that. And the best things are gonna come, I can promise you. There will be brands that aren't even here anymore, like 2010s, 2000s brands, and yes, sometimes the silhouettes are off and not exactly what you're looking for, but that's fine. There will be the classic pieces that have been around for 20 years already. And those brands are being sold for much cheaper prices. For example, this winter, I really wanted a cashmere turtleneck. I absolutely love to wear turtlenecks, especially black ones that really clean, don't have anything special about them. So I searched for cashmere roll neck And then I selected the color. I really wanted a black one, but you can do whatever you like. And there were plenty of options from various different brands. And what you have to do is to really check the tag with the materials that is on the piece of clothing, because of course people can lie, people can say that it's 100% cashmere and then it's actually just 10 or none at all. So if not photographed, definitely ask for the label, but other than that I think it's pretty safe. And even if one day you're gonna have a Vinted fail, it won't be as bad because you won't be paying 50 euros for a cashmere sweater secondhand, but rather 20, which is a great price. And let's be honest, the things from 20 years ago that are still here today are probably better quality than the things that you'll buy today. If you're not searching for anything specific at all, so not even a category, but you just want to browse and you have a certain aesthetic. For example, I really like 90s minimalism, things that are rather simple, cleaner, don't have a lot of beads or anything on it. So what I'll do is to either type in that aesthetic, because often people use hashtags on Vinted, or you can figure out the top brands from the era that you're looking at. For example, for me it's Jill Sander, Calvin Klein, Helmut Lang, and then type in 90s after. And that's how I found my favorite pieces. And often designers are gonna do collaborations with more high street brands. For example, Mango or H&M, they often have collaborations. And I really like Victoria Beckham and her brand. So I searched for Victoria Beckham one day and found out that she actually has a collaboration, or had a collaboration with Mango. And so I found some great Victoria Beckham pieces for a fraction of the price. That of course isn't the same quality, but it definitely gives the vibe that I'm looking for. If you found a shop that you really like and a seller that has various different pieces that you absolutely loved and the price was right, don't forget that you can actually follow sellers, and then you will get notification whenever they upload something new, or you just get it into your timeline every time that they post something. That can also be great because there have been some people on there which have such great style and then they sell things that are so cool. And those are the people that I would recommend you to follow because they put out the best stuff again and again. Now, there is an important thing to remember. Don't fall into the trap of just buying things on Vinted or secondhand in general because you think it's cheaper, because you think, oh, it's not that harmful to the planet, you're not giving money to one of those big brands, which are very noble thoughts, but actually it's just as bad when you just keep shopping on Vinted because it's cheaper and everything. That's not any better, or at least not much better. Instead, remember that finding the perfect item takes time. If you find something immediately, it's probably super common and many people are gonna have it, which is fine if that's what you're looking for. But if you wanted something very unique and personal to you, then that's a no. It can be very trend driven, or it's gonna be highly overpriced, and that's why, well, everyone's seeing it. And a hot take that I feel like some people are going to disagree with, I wouldn't say that you have to look for the perfect item, because for example, if you're looking for suits and stuff like that, it has to be tailored to you. And I'm a small person, and the day that I'm going to find a pant that is not going to be too long for me and going to fit me at the waist and the butt, well, I'll have to wait for eternity because that is just not going to happen. What I do instead is to look for an item that is the closest to perfection to me, and then I will bring it to the tailor and make the pants shorter or tighter, or the blazer a little bit more fitted, whatever you like. Here I would say it's only worth it if the fabric is nice, if it's not polyester or anything like that, but actual natural fabric, because that will last you And paying 15 or 20 euros for your tailor is going to save you time and money, because paying for suit trousers 30 euros maybe and then adding 20 euros, you're still on 50 euros instead of 150. Now guys, I hope this video was somehow helpful for you. I wish you the best of luck and fun on doing a deep dive on Vinted. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll be so happy to have you here next time. Thank you, bye!